So this video will be broken into two parts. The first part will be me going over my thoughts on the relationship between Eris and Rudy and how that has a rippling effect on them as a whole from Season 1 and of course the trailer for Mushoku Tensei Season 2. Then the second part will be Ed going into much more deeper on the psychology component, breaking down the actual short-term and the long-term rippling effects on Rudy's mental health and how that has affected him and how it could affect him going forward. This is non-spoiler based content, simply just Ed giving his thoughts and opinions based on what he has seen from the trailer and of course from Season 1 of Mushoku Tensei. So again, nothing spoiler based will be in this video, but more of a deep dive analysis on Rudy's mental health. I did see some people see a particular scene with Eris and they thought, oh, that's Eris, like, actually in the story. That was Rudy. This is just me pointing out Captain Obvious. That was Rudy projecting his thoughts of insecurity on others. Because you could see that split scene where he's got like those two people there, they were about to walk away, and then he sees Eris and Ghislaine, and I saw a bunch of comments like, "Oh my god, Eris, that's Eris. She's." I'm like, no, not to say if she is or isn't, but that's a projection of his fear of insecurity, being like, "Hey, these people are clearly gonna leave me like them. Why get close?" So
Right.
that was the scene that kind of really hit hard. And I think what I liked about that is that it's actually showing the insecurity. So of course you're gonna get Rudy monologuing and moaning and groaning, and I mean you can see the facial expressions even in the trailer with the brooding. I'm liking the fact that the trailer is showing that he's visualizing the insecurity as well.
I love you because I can't, like, that's exactly what I brought up. I'm like, this is a coping mechanism known as projection. When you're in deep rooted trauma, you project aspects of people onto others, and it's rooted out of insecurity and out of sexual trauma sometimes that come out of it. Like I love the fact that you brought this up because immediately I was like, no, this is not like Eris is there. This is a projection that has come out because of his, like, the insecurities, the trauma that may have happened.
And I really like that, especially like in the post. That's very much prevalent in that trailer, that he's very much gloomy, looking down, and then straight away he's projecting on others. He's like, they're gonna do the same that what Eris did to me. Eris left me. How dare she? She clearly hates me. Others are gonna hate me for the same reason. So very much you can see that insecurity straight away in that trailer. And that's not a spoiler, that's just obvious right away. You can see those emotional scars deep in him right away in the trailer, which is really good. I'm happy that they put that nice detail in there to really show and highlight how it's haunted him.
Is it weird for me, and I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, but I kind of don't want Eris to be back this season because I feel like it would be too soon for him to actually heal. This is just me throwing it out there. This is me as like it's like a really bad breakup with your, like, a girlfriend, and if they come back too quickly, have you really changed, or are you like you'll fall back into habits? I'm sorry, this is me just throwing that out there. I'm like, I feel like it would be too soon. Rudy, I gotta say, just because you burn an aspect does not mean that you're over that trauma. I know you're probably trying to take that first step, and also, how long have you hold on to this hair? So I think the fact that he's burning this hair is very symbolic, a very symbolic aspect of trying to move on. And I've seen people do this even with notes, like, "Dear Masha Tank, I love you dearly, but now I have to burn this note because of the trauma that you've caused me." People, it does help, but it doesn't completely heal. And I hope that this is not him trying to go ahead and do this as a form of trying to hook up with someone, because he's not going to be ready. Like, especially if it's like a, hey, now that I burned this, I'm ready for sexual activity, because that doesn't work that way. A lot of people seem to try and do this as a quick form of, like, give and release, and it doesn't bode well for them. Would it be better to hold on to it long term? It'd be better to go ahead and put it somewhere where you don't have access to it, Cloud Monkey, Which is like, for example, if you ever have something given to you that you never really had access, like, say that, like, one of my exes gave me this, right? It would be weird if I carried this bracelet around with me everywhere I go, right? It would be weird if I carried this bracelet everywhere around with me. It would be, because all of a sudden it's like I'm carrying around the memory of her. But if I put this in like a treasure box or a little box and just lock it up with like whatever memories that come along, so that when you're older you recognize it or you see it or whatever, not as weird, right? Or whenever you need to go ahead and see where you've come from, not as weird. me, this is intriguing because it's symbolic and it's also him trying to go ahead and move on. The reflection here, oof. When it comes to psychological theories, I want to try and go in as deep as I possibly can. You know, he sees these two characters, and immediately, what we see in this mind is a fear of projection, right? Is a projective move. He might be unacceptable thoughts, feelings, even another individual onto these. And it's a form of displacing as well, right? Or sublimating an obstacle or an object. And this is why I'm scared for him, and I'm scared as to his own sexual health in a way. And so it could be sublimating, it could be displacing as well with projection, which these are the common coping mechanisms that we have. Because say that he were to have sex, right? And this is me saying Rudy's becoming a teenager, and because he's a teenager, sex is a part of the natural teenage life for a lot of people. What does it say here? Satisfying an impulse aggression in a socially acceptable way, and the other one would be satisfying an impulse with a substitute object. So aggression can be seen, or his insecurity and his trauma. He might trying to go ahead, instead of actually trying to go ahead and heal from it, he might be trying to use sex as a way to heal. Through my studies, through my theories, through my thesis papers even done on this, sexual ramifications and sexual issues are very, very common. So I wonder if insult to injury would be like he might be able to get it hard. I'm just gonna be just straight up with you guys. But then it instantly dies down the moment that he tries to go ahead and do anything. Or he might literally develop some weird kinks into that. No shaming, no kink shaming here, but it could be something along those lines as well. And he might not even know why. He might not even know what may be happening. Or he might be doing it and he might be crying because he hasn't healed. So he might just be like, I need to have sex, I need to have sex, I need to have sex. And he might turn into an individual that's where he relies in. But personally, seeing how much trauma sex has caused him, because people like to say that Moshiko Tensei doesn't know what it's doing or glorifies aspects of sex, and I'm gonna say wrong. I will challenge whoever throws that out there and say sex in Moshiko Tensei is used as a form of change in this show, and it's used very masterfully. Because I have a feeling that it's gonna take someone from his past to heal him. Someone like Roxy holding him, or Sylphie literally holding him and letting him cry out the trauma that he's gone through for him to be able to move forward. Or someone that he can genuinely connect with, that he's already built the previous relationship with, and not have these walls immediately set up that when he's meeting a new individual. It has to be someone from his past that's able to go ahead and go through with him and be like, it's okay. I love you for who you are. I'm not going to leave you. You mean the world to me. In order for all these coping mechanisms to go down. It could be Eris as well, but Eris would need to explain herself. Eris would need to go ahead and heal a lot of the trauma that she's done. And I feel like if anything, Eris, in what's already happened, Eris would be the last person that needs to come in any form of healing. This is just me being straight up about it. Like, my boy needs to heal, my boy needs to grow, my boy needs to expand. Our boy Rudius now has some insane cognitive distortions. Why? Because he might be trying to go ahead and mind read. He might try and fortune tell. Oh, I can imagine her telling Ghislaine, like, if only he was actually a stronger man. If only he didn't die in front of the dragon god. Or whatever silly things. Because whenever we're hurt people hurt people. And trauma, when it affects us, it makes us fill in blanks. And it makes us make assumptions. And making an assumption makes an ass out of you and me. Because at the end of the day, our boy might be jumping into conclusion. He might be mental filtering, which is he might just be looking at all the negative things that happened, or thinking disqualifying any positive things that happened in the relationship, because no, that's not true. He might be even placing blame on himself, right? Or on Eris. I can't do this because Eris is not here. This is all Eris's fault, because if she wouldn't have left me, I would have been okay. Everything would have been fine. He might be magnifying stuff, right? Magnification is a very common thing that happens from individuals that have an insecure attachment style and to go through a relationship dissolution, right? They might even start minimizing their own efforts, which is beforehand. His powers might have been insane, and people would have been like, "Oh my god, Rudy, you're amazing." But now he's like, "Whatever. It's not impressive at all. It wasn't impressive enough to keep Eris by my side." And this is why it's when we're looking at cognitive distortions, when we're looking at things like this, it's important to take this and realize, hey, a good, well-written character in any medium should be going through issues, should have some sort of trauma, not even trauma, should have some sort of goal that they're reaching for, or should be working on themselves in some way, shape, or form. And I think this is why Rudy is so relatable to a lot of people. Even for me, I'm looking at Rudy and I'm like, damn, like I'm not even like, we haven't even touched season 2. I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, I can see where the story might be going, and this is affecting me, man. This is giving me something to look forward to. This is insane.